Yeah, Sergeant Noodle. I'm, seeing a silhouette of a man right now, about 600 meters out. Permission to take the shot?
Eagle 1, first strike. You have permission to engage the target.
Bogey is down. I repeat, bogey is down.
It is what many are calling a revisiting of hell. American forces geared up and prepared for action along the demilitarized zone. Only a few years ago, a similar battle was fought in the same general vicinity with devastating consequences. Learning from that action, U.S. Command has ordered major elements of all branches into action, including fighter jet squadrons, helicopter units, and armored vehicles of all types.
Battlefield Bad Company 2. Do you guys remember this game? I sure do. And boy, let me tell you, it brings back some old memories. A few of which you will probably see in the future of this video. I put together a few clips of some moments that definitely made this game a lot of fun for me. And I'm sure that if you guys have played this game in the past, which it's a fairly old game now. I picked this up on Steam the last couple days where I was recording all this footage that you're seeing here. And to my surprise, there's a lot of people that still play this game. I think on the time that I was on, there was about 500 people during the day. Towards the night, obviously, it drops off a little bit more. And Vietnam, you can pretty much only play during the day because that's when the population's up. And there's, I think, only about 2 to 3 servers max. So that's kind of unfortunate, but I love Vietnam. It's actually a lot of fun. This was my first time actually playing the Vietnam DLC as well. And I gotta say, over the course of the maps that I played on Vietnam, I really enjoyed it. Especially on this map here. I don't actually know the name of this map. This was probably one of the only ones that I could actually play on, due to the such low amount of players actually playing the DLC. But besides that, it was still, I enjoyed myself a lot. Now, if you have played this game, or you've actually have this game, I would highly suggest revisiting it. Because if you're like me, I played this game when it first came out over the course of a whole summer, and this was literally all that I played. And this was back in the day when Modern Warfare 2 and games like that were really in style. Now, I know Battlefield 5 is planning on coming out whenever it comes out, because they haven't actually given us a release date for that. It got me thinking why they haven't released a Bad Company 3. So, I looked it up a bit, and apparently the CEO of DICE, when he was asked, I think this was about 2 years ago, said that the team actually doesn't know what people liked about this game. So I guess they're kind of stuck between a rock and a hard place when it comes to making a new one. With him saying that, it probably means that he doesn't... It's not that they don't plan on making another one, it's that they just don't know what to make the game about. So I figured over the course of this video, since it is a little bit long, I thought that I would talk about a few things that made the game really enjoyable for me, and probably along with everyone else, I'm sure you guys will agree with me on a few things, so that in hopes that a DICE employee sees this video at some point, maybe they can take the hints and the tips here and possibly carry on to make a Battlefield Bad Company 3. So let's start with the first thing. I would like to talk about the map layouts. Now, everyone's very opinionated when it comes to map layouts, so I will just, I guess, explain my opinion and why I have this. So moving forward a couple years, I guess, and looking at Battlefield 3, or Battlefield Sunglare, some people like to call it, because that, oh my god, you guys have played the game, you understand. I quite enjoyed Battlefield 3, along with this game, for its maps. They all seemed like they had, I don't know, some character to them. They didn't have a lot of super open spots where you felt like you were getting pinned down in the middle of a section and you were just getting bottlenecked consistently. And I'll reference Operation Metro. That map, there was a couple ways to get to each side of the map, but most of the time it was just a firefight between bottleneck points. And I guess it still is, because people still play that map on Battlefield 4. As much as I wanted to like that map, and I still can't understand why people play that map to this day. It just feels like it's a firefight. It doesn't feel like, I don't get the freedom that I get in this game where I can get to where I need to be from a few different ways. I was struggling to get that point across there, as you watch me cremate a dead body here. He's still got some life in him. Give him some more. But I think overall what I loved about the maps from this game is that there was a lot of cover and foliage. If you go and look at the new maps now that are on like Battlefield 4 and such, the foliage in those games, most of the maps are just foliage on the outside. In this game, there was hills, there was, you know, big rocks and stuff that you could squeeze your way through, and it gave you enough cover to at least hide from tanks and recons and all that, so you could at least get to the objective where you needed to be. You didn't feel like you were bottlenecked the whole time. Now, even though these maps were a little bit smaller, I never felt like I was struggling as a recon to get kills or to hold down a point that I haven't needed to hold down. You guys thought this was going to be a whole sniper video. I decided to bring out the crispy flamethrower. If you guys have never used this thing, you definitely owe it to yourself to try this thing out. I don't know what was this guy thinking? Come on, close quarters. I have a flamethrower. And this guy wanted to roast his chestnuts on an open fire. Anyways, we're getting sidetracked now. But back to playing a recon on a map like this. Since the maps were smaller and you had to worry about objectives and all that, yes, you probably camped a little bit more, but since there was such cover and foliage and all that you could hide behind as a soldier or infantry, then you always had to worry about those people coming up beside you or behind you as well. It wasn't just like a long-range battle between recons. And since I put in a nice AK clip here, I thought I would talk about the recoil in this game. Unlike the other Battlefields, there's no visual recoil in this game. There's only just the straight vertical and side-to-side recoil that you have to worry about. Obviously, there's a little bit of weapon spread as well, but it wasn't too hard or too difficult to control. Now, without recoil in any FPS game, obviously, that kind of helps determine the skill gap, or the skill difference between players who use, you know, heavier weapons and all that. If you didn't have recoil, then it would basically just be a laser fight, and it would be the easiest game ever. And that's not what you want. Call of Duty. Sorry, I had something in my throat there. Actually, I don't think the Call of Duties are that bad anymore, but I don't know. In this game, it just felt rewarding to get a kill with being able to control your recoil, instead of just having the random weapon spread and bullets flying everywhere. But, since I have this clip coming up now, I wanted to talk about a few of my favorite things that make this game awesome for me. And one of them is putting slug rounds on the 870 or the NS2000, and being able to take out a recon at long range and beat him at his own game. Because you know, if you headshot him before he headshots you, he's gonna be a sad man on the other side of that monitor. Or woman. The best thing about using it like this, there's no bullet drop to this at all. Like, not even a little bit with the slug rounds. You just have to account for the velocity. Next up, we have the best thing ever. The tracer dart. You tag them, and then you bag them. So you lock onto them with the tracer dart. If you guys don't understand what it does, it allows you to lock on with your RPG or any guided missile launcher that can actually lock on. Seeing this clip brings back old memories. So, I wanted to explain this part here, since you saw me kill the first guy with the RPG. I managed to tracer dart this guy, but I'm not totally sure what happens next. Spoiler alert, I die from him. I think he shoots his RPG at me or whatever he was using. And then, somehow, he manages to die, but what I think he was doing is he was aiming at a heli or something, or a tank, and as you can see, I think he locked onto himself, since I tracer darted him. Now those were just a couple clips of what I believe make this game just overall amazing. Now I figured I would swap over to the actual game here, the normal game, instead of Vietnam. Now before we move on to the next point, I wanted to point out that this game looks amazing for being such an older game. I mean, I was running the graphics, I think, about high, and I just turned down the shadows and all that, just anything that really cranks out the FPS in your GPU. And I was still running at about 170 FPS, and I only have a GTX 780. It's not overclocked, I didn't do anything to it, it's just running normally. Now the second last thing I wanted to talk about, I know I'm running out of time here, is the bullet velocity in this game, as well as the drop-off. I felt like, I understand that there needs to be drop-off in a game when it's an FPS game like this and you're trying to make it somewhat realistic, but it felt like it was done right in this. It felt like when you got a kill, it felt a little bit more realistic than Battlefield 4. I mean, you can see the bullet arc so much in that game. I don't know, it just felt like they did it right in this game. It didn't feel like I was watching a golf ball fly over a golf course and just watching it arc. But the last point I wanted to make, and since this one's a shorter one, is the vehicles. I felt that there was enough vehicles per map, and it wasn't overwhelming as it is in some of the other games that you see nowadays. But anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I sure love this game, and I'm sure you share my thoughts, and I'll hope to catch you guys in the next one.